Hey everyone, welcome to Crypto with Jonathan. First time making a YouTube video. Figured I'd share all the knowledge I've been building over the past couple years. I've been getting my friends and family into crypto, and more people keep asking me, how do I do this? What is it? Where do I buy it? What should I buy? So I'm putting together some information here to learn what crypto is in the simplest way I can possibly share it, and where and how to buy it. So let's get started. Cryptocurrency. So you can see here I put a PowerPoint together. I'll kind of work through this. Um, so I started off by just saying, what is currency? Basically, it's a medium of exchange for goods and services. It's money, how you typically know it. A small history of currency. It helps to know how our currency came to be, to understand why cryptocurrency came. The US dollar started in 1792, and then in 1913, the Federal Reserve was created. Not actually a government organization, it's a private company. At that point in time, the dollar was backed 1-to-1 with gold, and that was great. And then in 1971, the gold standard was abolished. So now the gold dollar was not backed by anything. And that's the time in history when the US government started printing more and more money and inflating our currency. And it's been happening at an increasing rate, even more so this past year. In the past year, we've printed 40% of all the currency of US dollars that exist. And so that's a crazy amount. What is cryptocurrency? I'm not going to read you this paragraph because this is what you can find on the internet, and it's very confusing. A lot of those words you've probably never heard of, but basically cryptocurrency is a new form of money that is basically impossible to hack and allows you to move money from person to person digitally without needing a bank in the middle to help move the money and take fees from you. Traditionally, if you're going to spend money at a store or send money to a friend, everything has to go through a series of transactions through banks and different accounts on servers that they hold, and they all take fees along the way, and it takes time. When you buy food in the store and you swipe your credit card or your debit card, you're not actually giving the store the money right there at that moment in time. It usually takes up to weeks for the money to actually get into that store's bank account because the banking system is very slow. Crypto is different, on the other hand. It moves money in seconds, and it doesn't require a bank or a third party to be a part of that transaction. It's almost like cash. So if you think of cash and you're standing next to another person, you can hand them $5, and you know for sure that $5 is going from you to the other person because you're both there while the money is being transferred. You don't need a bank to sit there to pass the money to, and then the bank pass it to the other person because you can see the other person. Cryptocurrency is basically a digital version of that, so you don't need another person there. The tricky part, which is hard to explain, and I won't go into much detail here, is how that happens. And basically, instead of relying on a single company like a bank to move the money, cryptocurrency is built on a network of computers spread out all over the world. And so the simplest way of explaining it is every single computer has a list of all the transactions that ever happened on the network. And whenever a new transaction happens, it gets copied to all the computers. And as long as the list matches on all of the computers, those transactions are verified and they're good. It's really hard to hack because you would have to hack every single computer in the network at the same time to change what that list of transactions says. And that's what makes it hard to hack. And that's what makes it to where you don't need to rely on a company to transfer the money between accounts, because the network itself verifies that with the software that's running on it. And so By the nature of each computer on the network being owned by different people spread out all over the world, it's not a single person or group that controls the transactions. It's the whole group of computers combined that control the transactions. So it's spread out between a bunch of different people. And not one person alone can have a decision. The whole network of computers together decides through the software that's built or that's running on it. If you have more questions about that, feel free to leave comments and I'll try and answer as much as I can. History of cryptocurrency. The idea of cryptocurrency actually existed in the 90s, but the technology wasn't here to implement that and make it actually work. And so it wasn't until 2008 that the very first Bitcoin was designed, and in 2009 it went live. It was Bitcoin, and it was implemented by an anonymous person called Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows who it is. It could be a person, it could be a group of people, it could even be a government for all we know. We really don't know who created it initially. But once it was created and ran, and it started spreading, and the network of computers grew and grew, it doesn't really matter who created it in the beginning because nobody controls it now. Initially, Bitcoin back then when it was launched was valued at 30 cents, so it was pretty cheap. And then in 2013 to 14, that's when a few other cryptocurrencies came into the scene. A notable one from that time was Ethereum. And these new cryptocurrencies, some of them were replicas of Bitcoin, some of them were new types of coins that did different things than Bitcoin. And so even up to the date now, we have over 8,000 cryptocurrencies that have ever been created. Most of those are worthless. There's a handful that have legitimate projects that are growing and have good adoption, but we'll get into that later. General uses of cryptocurrency. One is it's peer-to-peer, like I explained. You don't need a third party to transfer money. It's more confidential in the sense that to have a wallet to hold cryptocurrency in, you don't need to provide the wallet with any information about yourself. You can create a wallet just by clicking on a few buttons and you have it. And it doesn't know who you are, doesn't have your social security number, doesn't know your date of birth or anything like that. And you're allowed to participate in this network of money and hold money there in the wallet and send and receive money. Cryptocurrency helps the unbanked. So before I got into cryptocurrency, I didn't even know of the term unbanked. But there's I think there's over 1 billion people that don't have access to banks or bank accounts. And mostly this is in third world countries. And cryptocurrency is changing that landscape because it is allowing access to banking through cryptocurrency where they won't be rejected by a bank because there's no requirements to participate in the network. Cryptocurrency also allows for an easier international exchange of money cross borders. You don't have large fees that you pay, and it doesn't take weeks to transfer money cross borders to other countries. It happens instantly, and the fees are very minimal compared to current fees when you're transferring cross countries. So what is Bitcoin? We'll start with Bitcoin because that's the coin that, if you've ever heard of cryptocurrency, some people might even think that cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is just one cryptocurrency. But it was the first one, and it's also the largest one. It runs on a distributed ledger, which is what I explained earlier, just a large network of computers. And those computers to work, basically they're running an algorithm to try and solve a very hard problem. And when they do, they get to verify the next group of transactions for that network. And when they do that, that computer that verified the next transaction gets rewarded with new coins. Bitcoin has a max supply of 21 million coins ever. Currently 18 million have already been created, and the remaining 3,000 will take until year 2140 to be created. And it's in an exponential decay. Basically, that means most of them will be created in the next 4 to 8 years, and then slowly it will taper down to fractions of coins being created over the next however many 120, 119 years. Bitcoin currently is mainly used as a store of value due to its scarcity, similar to gold. But compared to gold, it has some better attributes because you can move it instantly, you can trade fractions of it, and there's a hard cap of 21 ever. Whereas gold is very hard to mine more gold, so it has a very slowly increasing supply, which is basically a stable, secure currency. It's also scarce. And the reason we bring up that there's a max of 21 million coins and why that's important is that currently fiat currencies, which is how it was what you call like the US dollar or the euro or some other currency for a country, those are fiat currencies, and they aren't backed by gold, and they hold their value because the government says it has value, and the government can print more of those dollars in any amounts they want whenever they want, increasing the supply of the coin. And that's a problem because that's what leads to inflation, and it also leads to a decrease in the value of the money that you have. So a simple way of understanding that is, say there's $100 in existence and you have $10, right? And then the government comes out and says, you know what, we're going to print $100,000, and they pass it out to a bunch of people. And now your $10 is a very small amount of the total amount of money, and so it's not worth as much in comparison to the total amount of money that exists. And so the more money they print, the less valuable the $10 that you originally had are worth. With crypto or with Bitcoin, that will never happen because no more than 21 coins will ever be minted. And so the coins that you have will maintain their value compared to the total amount of coins that exist. Bitcoin has had high expectations of becoming a currency like that you would use to buy things at the store and small transactions, but over time it's kind of veered off from that idea more to a store of value, and mainly because there's other currencies that have come onto the scene that are faster and cheaper at moving money, which suit that particular use case better. But Bitcoin is its main use case right now is a store of value, similar to how gold would be. But it's also expected to grow much more than gold because it's such a new asset. What is Ethereum? So Ethereum is the second largest coin right now, and it's a little bit hard to explain. Basically, it behaves similar to Bitcoin. It has a network of computers that mine new coins and verify the transactions. There is not a hard cap on how many coins there are, but there is a specific amount that get created each time new transactions are verified. And over time, as the supply grows larger, that amount that are created becomes smaller and smaller. And so in essence, long term, it will be a secure asset as well. Just not as secure or scarce, scarce as Bitcoin. But that's okay because Ethereum's use case is not a store of value. That's not what brings value to Ethereum. Ethereum, what's special about Ethereum is that you can program the transaction with logic. So you're able to write software on top of it. And so they call it like a programmable money. And if you have no experience with software or any technology like that, it can be really confusing. But basically, it allows you to give rules to the money transaction. One simple idea of this would be like escrow when you're buying a house. The buyer will put money into escrow, and that's a company. The escrow company will hold that money until they verified that the money given is accurate, and that the people receiving it have the right bank account hooked up, and also that a certain amount of time period has passed for the 30 days or whatever, and that whatever the different things that have to be met to finalize that transaction and actually move the money out of escrow to the seller, all that logic can be programmed into a transaction on Ethereum. So in essence, you wouldn't have to use an escrow company. You can just write some logic into a trade that says after 30 days, if everybody signs the papers by this time and these things are accurate, then send the money to this person. And then the moment that you push send on that transaction, it sits on the Ethereum network. And when all those pieces of logic are met, the transaction, that money that you sent, will then get put into the other person's wallet. And so that happens without a company holding it in the middle, like an escrow company. It's just the network of computers itself that it sits on. So it goes straight from one person to the other through the network. Let's see what I have written down here. So Ethereum basically allows you to build any software application as you know it on top of Ethereum, and that allows the data that's being used in that app to be decentralized and not owned by a company. And so you own your own data on all these, on any application that's built on top of Ethereum. That's great, for example, for social media. Currently, I think there's an app called voice.com. It's a social media platform that's leveraging Ethereum. Basically, all the data that you post is not controlled by the company. It lives on the Ethereum network. And so it can't be censored. Nobody can change the data that's on the network. Nobody can hack it. It's completely visible. And so they call it trustless because you're not trusting on somebody to manage it. It doesn't need trust from somebody. The network itself provides you control of whatever you put on there. And so that it'll change software and basically the internet as we know it long term. It's going to take a while for it to really make an impact, but I'd say within the next 5 to 10 years, we'll start seeing a lot of different applications and software built on blockchain that change how things are done. Decentralized finance is another really popular use case right now for Ethereum. One of the main drivers, actually. It basically allows a global open alternative to the current financial system. You can borrow money, save, invest, trade, and do all the stuff on Ethereum, decentralized on software that's built on Ethereum, not using banks. So like I can go out right now and get a loan from the Ethereum network. All it requires is that you have a wallet and that you have some amount of collateral. So if I had, for instance, 5 Ethereum, I could potentially go out and get a loan in dollars worth 10 Ethereum, as long as I have the 5 in my wallet to hold as collateral. And typically the interest rates comparable to like personal loans are better because there's no bank in the middle adding fees to it. Non-fungible tokens is another use case right now on Ethereum. It just means a digital token. You can create a digital token on Ethereum that's completely unique and identifiable from any other token that exists, and you can attach any type of digital data to it. And so one thing that a lot of things that are happening right now are like digital video clips or digital art are being created as a non-fungible token. It's actually a huge marketplace is growing right now. I think there's recently a piece of artwork, a digital artwork that was created as a non-fungible token sold for $67 million. It's crazy, and feel free to dive into that, but that's a whole nother complicated area. So these are different use cases for Ethereum. XRP and Ripple, I don't know if you've heard of those, but this has been the third largest coin for a long time. Currently it's not. Other coins have risen past it. XRP and Ripple are not the same. A lot of people cross these two back and forth. XRP is the currency on a decentralized network, and Ripple is a company that builds products to leverage that network. They both were created near the same time. I believe the network was created first and then Ripple was created. I'm not exactly sure. But basically, XRP validates its network by consensus, which I'm not going to explain, but basically it means that it's not a bunch of computers on a network mining, using up a lot of electricity to solve hard mathematical problems to validate the network. It's a different algorithm that doesn't require a lot of electricity, but it still has a large network of computers. XRP was built to be a better transfer of money, faster and cheaper. And so that's what the initial goal of it was. And Ripple has been building products to leverage that, to provide products for the global financial system to leverage, to improve the financial system as the way we know it, not to replace it. And so like Bitcoin and Ethereum and many, pretty much all the other coins, their idea is, maybe you could think of it as anti-bank or libertarian, or we're going to do it without the bank. XRP is saying, no, we're going to build to help the banks move into a better system. And so for that reason, a lot of diehard fans in crypto don't necessarily like XRP because they're working to bridge the banks and help the banks move their money better instead of building a way to get around the banks. So XRP is designed to replace Swift. Swift is I don't know the details much about it, but it's used to send money basically back and forth between all the countries in the world. It's like the bridge, the business that you use to send the money. It's very slow, it takes weeks, and has large fees. And XRP says we can do that a lot faster and cheaper. XRP also has a private ledger that you can build digital currencies on top of. And so right now, currently, a thing that's going on is all over the world. I think it's somewhere around 80% of the countries in our world are currently working on researching or testing a central bank digital currency. And basically that means they're going to replace the currency we have now with a blockchain-based currency. These central bank digital currencies will basically be the same that they are now, but it allows the government more insight and control over the currency because they can program it and they can see where every single dollar goes. I'll leave that up to you whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing. But XRP provides a private ledger. So not XRP, Ripple, the company, provides a private ledger where banks can build their own digital currency on Ripple's network. And the goal is that multiple countries will build their central bank digital currency on the Ripple private net, and the Ripple private ledger will be connected to the public ledger where they can interoperate and transact between countries with their digital currencies using XRP. And this makes the current system look like a dinosaur the way it runs. And currently there's been news about France considering XRP to build their digital currency on. There's information that the Federal Reserve has connections with XRP in works of the US digital dollar. There's a lot of connections that XRP has with countries already, and they have ties to 50 of the world's largest banks and connections with them. And I don't have all the details in this video, but many of the past employees of Ripple, like at the top, have left Ripple and worked with other large banks around the world and gotten government positions. So they've positioned themselves to have lots of good connections with the system that they're trying to build a product for. And they already have a lot of connections going. So in my mind, XRP long-term is a very good option. Ethereum's a great option. and Bitcoin's a good option too. We'll get into more of the details later on which ones I am interested in now at this time in the market cycles that we're in. And since I mentioned that, disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't buy or sell anything based on what I'm saying or doing. I'm just an enthusiast sharing with you what I know and what I personally think. So here's some coin comparisons. When I made this PowerPoint, Bitcoin was at $50,750 per coin. Ethereum was at $1,684 per coin, and XRP was at 46 cents per coin. Bitcoin, right now, if you were to send a Bitcoin or a fraction of a Bitcoin from one wallet to another, it would take about 40 minutes and cost about $1 on average. Ethereum would take about 5 minutes on average and cost on average $10. But sometimes when the Ethereum network gets really crowded, the $10 can spike and go up more. But typically it's around $10. And then XRP, when you send XRP, it's nearly instant. Typically less than a second, sometimes up to 3 seconds, but it's pretty much instant. And the cost to send a transaction is very small, fractions of a penny. And when I'm saying sending a transaction, it doesn't matter how big a transaction. You could be sending, $20, or you could be sending $2 billion. It doesn't matter. It would cost you a fraction of a penny to send $2 billion, and it would cost you the same fraction of a penny to send $20. And that goes for Ether and Bitcoin too. That number for cost per transaction doesn't matter how big the transaction is. And so these are some price projections for these three coins. And I'm gathering these numbers based on lots of different videos I've watched on technical analysts, and there's even banks that have come out and give their analysts of what Bitcoin will get to. And so this is kind of like a grouping of all of them, kind of like an average price range that I have seen in all my research. And Bitcoin's expected to go up to 100 to 300,000, before the end of 2021, and Ethereum's expected to go up to somewhere between 5 and 20,000 before 2021, and XRP is expected to go somewhere up to $8 to $35 before the end of 2021. Now, to understand how much money you could make, because I'm assuming most people are wanting to get into cryptocurrency to make money. That's the main use right now. In the future, that's going to change because these coins are actually going to have a use case for them other than just buying and holding to gain money. But right now, that's what's going on, mainly because it's such a new asset and the technology behind it is so good that it's transforming the way money is used around the world. And so it's got a lot of growth to be done. I'd say even 5 to 10 years out, there's still going to be huge growth that far out. So this buying into cryptocurrency is even a really good long-term hold. It's very volatile. It goes up and down a lot. In the long run, it's going to be much higher than where it's at now. And that's evident because you can see banks getting into it. Huge corporations are putting all their cash into cryptocurrency because it's a better place to store and grow their money than holding it in cash. So there's a lot of evidence that shows large money holders see the future and are putting their money into it. And so it makes sense that I would want to do the same thing. So let's look at, for example, Bitcoin. I'll just say Bitcoin's at 50,000, about 50. Actually, I think as of speaking right now, it's around 57,000. So I'll say $60,000. Let me get my calculator out so I can do some math here. So on the low end, if Bitcoin got up to $100,000 and it's already at $60,000 and you buy it at $60,000, you're not even going to get 100% growth on what you bought. It won't even double. So say you had $10,000 and you bought Bitcoin at $60,000 and it went up to $100,000. that would turn your $10,000 into $16,000, $16,666. So that's not a life-changing gain. It's not something that you're going to get rich off of. People think of crypto and they think, oh, this is a get rich quick. I'm going to put, $1,000 in and become a millionaire. There are ways to do that, but you have to time it perfectly and you have to get into the right coins. And currently in this market cycle, Bitcoin is not a coin that's going to do that for you. Even if it went up to $300,000, that would turn your 10,000 into 50,000. So that's nice. That'd be great. But you can do a lot better with some of the other coins because they haven't moved as much yet in this market cycle. So Ethereum is currently at 1,786. So let's say you bought $10,000. You'd end up with 5.6 Ether. And so if Ether went up to $5,000, that would turn your 10,000 into 28,000 on the low end. And if it went up to $20,000, it would turn it into $112,000. So that's a pretty good gain off of $10,000. And when you're looking at these gains, it's all about percentage. So instead of $10,000, if you put in, say, $50,000, that would give you 5 times more than you could have with the 10,000. So the 112, instead of making 112, if Ethereum went to 20,000, you could make 560,000. With XRP, say if you bought $10,000 of XRP at 40, what's XRP at today? It's at 51 cents. So at 51 cents, you could get 19,607 coins. And so if that went up to $8, that's $156,000. And so just with the low end expectation of XRP from where its current price is today, $10,000 can turn into $156,000. Now, if you're looking at the high end, let's do the math here. Times 35. The $10,000 could turn into $686,000. Now, take that with a grain of salt because nobody knows the future. These are just expected price ranges. I'm looking for $10 to $15 range for XRP before I'd probably think about selling some. 35 on the high end seems a bit high, but it really depends on what happens over the next 5 to 6 months. But a lot of these estimates are created based off of previous market cycles, and the whole cryptocurrency market in general has had multiple market cycles already where it will go through a bull market and all the coins in the market will go through large parabolic rises in price, and then for a few years after that it will taper back down into a bear market where the prices come all the way back down, not all the way back down but pretty far back down, and then the next bull cycle that happens, they go up even higher than the previous one, and then they come back down. And overall, it's like it climbs higher and higher over time, but each cycle will have a really high peak and then come down quite a bit. So it would be unreasonable to expect that you'd be able to sell it right at the top because you never know when it's the top until after the top has already happened. So it's best to know what ranges are expected and try and pick a price that you feel comfortable selling at and just know that you're happy at that price to get out at. Bitcoin typically leads the market. It always moves first because it's the largest coin and it's the most known coin. So when it starts moving, the new money comes into Bitcoin and then the other coins start following after it later. And so that's one of the reasons why XRP is a better buy right now, is because its price really hasn't gone up a lot yet in this bull cycle. For example, in the last bull cycle in 2017, Bitcoin reached a high of $20,000. Since then, it had dipped all the way back down to around $4,000 and back up to $20,000 last year, and it has since gone all the way up to $60,000. So it's done times 3 from its all-time high that it reached in 2017. Ethereum reached an all-time high of 1,400, about 1,400 in 2017, and currently it's just past its all-time high around $1,780. So it hasn't done a times 3 of its all-time high yet like Bitcoin has. And when you look at XRP reached a high of $3.60 in 2017, and it hasn't even gotten close to coming back to that price yet. And so that's one of the reasons why there's such larger gains to be had in XRP still, because it hasn't started moving yet. And that's typical for XRP. If you look at previous market cycles, XRP moves much later in the cycle. And so it's not low because it's a worse coin, or it's, some people think, oh, it's not going to move with the rest of the market because like it hasn't yet. It's just staying at a low price. But it's done that in previous cycles too. And if you look back at the previous cycles, pretty much every single coin had passed its all-time high and made new highs. And so when the market moves, the whole market moves together in general in the market, some earlier and some later. And so when you're looking right now for a good coin to buy, you want to buy a coin that, you know, is one of the larger coins and it hasn't moved a lot yet. And XRP is one of those coins. And so I don't know if I have much more to say about that. Let's move on. Okay, how to buy and protect. Before I go into this slide, once again, if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, post a question in the comments and I'll get back to you and we can have discussions there to dive deeper. And potentially, if there's some topics that you guys are all wanting to hear more about, I'll make another video just talking about those topics. So how to buy and protect your cryptocurrency. You have to buy cryptocurrency on a cryptocurrency exchange. Basically, an exchange is a company that will exchange US dollars for us for cryptocurrency. And that doing that process is their business, so they take a small fee. Similar to how if you were to buy stocks, you'd pay a fee when you buy the stock through a broker or something. So you'll pay a fee to the company when you transfer from US dollars to a cryptocurrency. But once you have that cryptocurrency, it can be sent on the crypto network. Say if you bought Ethereum, you could send Ethereum on the Ethereum network to another wallet, and there wouldn't be an exchange fee because you're not using the exchange. You're just sending it over the network. You're really just paying the fee when you're going from dollars to the currency, and then when you're going from the currency back to the dollar. But it's typically a really small fee, like around 1% for most of these. Coinbase is the most popular one. They have the highest fees, I think, around 1.5%. Kraken has fees lower than 1%. They're a great option. Uphold is around 1% fees. They're a good option. Binance.us. There is just a Binance app, and for the longest time that's all that existed, but they did not want to comply with US laws, so they blocked all US users from using Binance, and then after that created Binance.us, where that one will follow US laws. But I wouldn't recommend that one over the other three up there. Currently, Uphold is the only one where you can exchange XRP on. Most likely that'll be changing soon, but currently that's the only place you can buy XRP out of this list of exchanges here. There might be a couple other exchanges in the US right now that still sell XRP, but I'm not familiar with which ones they are. And I'll get in at the end of the video. I'll talk a little bit more about XRP and why it's only on Uphold right now. When you buy on these exchanges, the app itself will have a wallet on it that it puts your coins in. While it's in that wallet, those coins are physically being stored in that company's database and their servers. You own them, but they're holding them. So typically these businesses are very secure and safe, and I haven't heard of anybody losing their coins on these services because the company got hacked and their servers got hacked or anything like that. It is a possibility, but I've personally held large amounts of money on these exchanges for long periods of time and been fine. Personally, when I have a larger amount, I like to move them into my own personal wallet, so that way I'm not relying on the company to hold my coins. I'm holding on my own device. There's multiple ways to do that. There's a software wallet, which would just be like an app that you download that's a wallet, and the keys are physically on your phone. Whenever you create a wallet, you're given a long phrase of words, and that's like your recovery phrase, basically. You don't ever want to lose that phrase. Basically, if you were to lose your phone or something and your phone broke or was stolen, you can, on a new phone, download the same wallet app and input that recovery phrase, and it will recover the coins back to that new wallet. But if you don't save the recovery phrase and you lose your phone, your coins are gone forever. So that's a bit of a risk when holding your own coins. An alternative to a software wallet is a hardware wallet. This is one step safer because a hardware wallet is basically like a little USB stick or some little device that you would plug into your phone or connect to it with Bluetooth, and you store the keys on there. And the idea behind the hardware wallet is that it's not connected to the internet when you're not using it, so nobody can hack it. Potentially with a software wallet, someone could hack your phone, hack your accounts, and get into your software wallet and send the coins somewhere, and they'd be gone. But with a hardware wallet, the only way that a hardware wallet could be stolen would be if someone broke into your home, broke into your safe where you're keeping the hardware wallet, and figured out the password on the hardware wallet, and then sent the coins somewhere. And so it's probably the safest way to hold coins if you're wanting to hold them yourself. If you feel like that's too much and you're too worried about losing them and it's really confusing to you, holding them on the exchange wallet is not a bad option. Over time, as you learn more about cryptocurrency and as your accounts grow in size, you can do more research on how to move them off the exchange wallet. So that's the end of what I have in this PowerPoint presentation I put together. A little bit more about XRP. Typically, the price doesn't move earlier on in the bull market cycle. It waits more towards the end, which is what it's doing this time. Usually it would be higher by now already, a little bit at least, but the reason it's being held now is because last year in December, the SEC sued Ripple, the company, claiming that they sold XRP in the beginning and it was a security, not a currency. And the security is basically like a stock or a share. And they're saying, hey, you guys sold all this XRP when you created it, and people were expected that it was a share of your company, and it was a share of your company, and you didn't register with us, so that's illegal, and they got sued for it. The crazy thing is that Bitcoin and Ethereum have been told that they're a currency by the same company or by the same government branch, the SEC, but XRP is not. And they have very similar attributes on how they were created and sold. The rest of the world has already deemed XRP a currency legally. The US is the only country that currently is saying XRP is not a currency, and it's not even the full US. There's other departments, other government agencies in the US that are saying that XRP is a currency. It's just the SEC that's saying that they're a security. And the odd thing about it was, I think it was about once a month, the company Ripple had been meeting with the SEC every month for the past 8 years, discussing the legal scenarios and making sure they were doing things right. Also, many cryptocurrency exchanges had talked to the SEC and said, hey, is it okay to sell and exchange XRP on our platforms? We want to make sure it's a currency and we're not doing anything illegal. And they were basically given the okay by the SEC also. And so it's been assumed that XRP is a currency. And then the head of the SEC in December, on his last day in office, filed the lawsuit, and the next day had quit or left office. And that was also something kind of fishy. There's a lot of speculation around why the lawsuit happened. One is that XRP needs legal clarity in the US so that more companies will be comfortable using it. Because currently there's a lot of companies that want to use XRP and a Ripple service to improve what they're doing, but they're afraid to because they don't know what the US legally thinks about XRP. And so the moment that there's clarity on what XRP is, then they'll be comfortable using it legally. And so that'll open up a lot of opportunity for usage and of the coin, which will, of course, increase the price quite a bit too. But yeah, and currently there's the court case going on. As it's progressed, there's been more and more information coming out that reveals how weak the SEC's case is and how strong XRP's case is. And the new head of the SEC coming in is very pro-crypto. And so there's a ton of positive facts and things lining up that XRP will be fine. They'll get out of the lawsuit sooner rather than later, and they'll be a currency. And so that's one of the reasons why, or that is the reason why a lot of exchanges stopped trading it this year in the US, because they didn't want to get in trouble because the SEC sued Ripple for the XRP. And so they said, we'll wait till this lawsuit's over before we trade it again. But on that point, recently in one of the hearings, the SEC said that the only people that could get in trouble for selling XRP are the two founders of XRP and Ripple. And so they basically made it clear that, hey, exchanges, you're fine selling it. And so more likely than not, or more sooner than later, we're going to start seeing all the exchanges start trading it again, which is also going to be good for the price because that opens up a lot of buyers to be able to buy it again. But once again, that hasn't happened yet, and XRP is only available on Uphold. And so those are some of the factors that are really keeping the price suppressed right now. But that's a good thing for you and me because that provides an opportunity to get in the currency at a very cheap price compared to what the rest of the market is doing. And so there's a lot of large gains to be had with XRP. That about wraps up the video. That's all the information I want to share to get you started. Once again, thanks for listening. I hope that wasn't too long. I hope it wasn't too confusing. Feel free to ask as many questions as you want in the comments below. Thanks, everyone.